We were literally riding on white ice. And that's when Gaurav slipped. And I just saw the bike slip out from underneath him and him hit the ground. And my heart just started racing, you know. I'm like, oh my God, my brother-in-law just fell off his bike. At that point, I thought, maybe we won't survive. Namaste dosto, as you guys know, I've traveled to every single state and union territory in India, plus India before partition, so Bangladesh and Pakistan. But there's still one trip which haunts me, which scares me to think about it, to relive it in my mind. It was a trip of extremes, like extreme challenge, and extreme pain, and extreme danger as well. And yeah, it's just hard to relive it today. I still think about it like on a monthly basis. So I'm gonna share that trip with you right now. This trip took place in June 2017, before I was on YouTube. It was with my brother-in-law. We rode our motorcycles from Delhi to Leh in the Ladakh region. You're literally riding over the Himalayas and ending up in this rocky, barren beauty, which is Ladakh. It's a ride of extremes, extreme contrasts actually. So you've got that lush, mountainous beauty of the Himalayas. Then if you're lucky, you're going to be passing through all these snowy ice roads. And then you arrive in Ladakh, this rocky, barren land. It is just two extreme contrasts. You should do this trip once in your life, whether it's by motorcycle or car, it doesn't matter. But you got to plan well. The risks are real, the dangers are real, as you're going to hear. And Gaurav and I were not prepared for what was about to hit us. We made so many mistakes. What makes this trip so difficult and death-defying is you have to cross multiple of the world's highest roads. And that means you're crossing mountain passes covered in snow with ice walls. You have ice literally on the road, okay? The road is thick white ice in places. Then you've got black ice. The further you climb, the harder it is to breathe. The air becomes very thin. Even your motorcycle will struggle to get up these huge, huge mountain passes. Then there's altitude sickness you have to battle too. There's blizzards, there's water crossings, and there's very, very few people around at the time that we went in early June. There is army, but their facilities are very basic, and you're not gonna exactly find them on top of the passes or in the areas where you can get in trouble like me and Gaurav did. So it is extremely hard to get help if you need it. Forget cell phone reception as well, by the way. So if something goes wrong, you are on your own and you have to be self-sufficient, especially at the time Gaurav and I went. Well, the first 2 days of the ride are pure bliss. You're doing a few small mountain passes, nothing major, and you're riding through the stunning Himachal Pradesh, through Rohtang Pass. And once you get past Rohtang Pass, oh my God, the roads are incredible. I mean, not incredible as in the roads are dirt roads, but the view around is out of this world. You feel like you're in heaven once you cross Rohtang Pass, honestly. But on the third day of the ride for Gaurav and I, everything changed. Once you get to Jispa, you need to fill up your jerry cans of petrol, because for the next 400 kilometers, there are no petrol stations, okay? You are going to be crossing 3 of the highest motorable roads in the world. There's no petrol stations, it's barren, it's desolate. There's nobody there, okay? So you have to be self-sufficient. So Gaurav and I woke up after camping in Jispa knowing that today was going to be the hardest day, but we didn't know it was going to be the hardest day of our lives ever and the most death-defying day of our lives ever. We knew we had to cross 3 really, really high mountain passes, some of the highest in the world, and we knew the weather wasn't going to be so hot. And we knew that we were crossing right at the beginning after the army had cleared the road for people to pass through, because usually it's covered in like feet of ice and snow. So we knew it was going to be a tough day. We knew it was going to be a long day, so we started early. Everything was fine at the beginning. The sun had started to rise. That's when we arrived at Lutcher Pass, the first pass we had to cross today. And when you're crossing a huge mountain pass, you kind of zigzag or snake up the pass. And as we got about halfway up the pass, we started seeing snow. We started seeing ice walls. And a blizzard started. A snowstorm started. And it was already about 0 degrees. We were already freezing, but when that snow hit, we started to get wet. The visibility dropped. My hands, they started feeling like ice, like frozen ice rocks. And at that point, in my mind, I was kind of already panicking because the road had become very, very slippery the higher we climbed up Lutcher Pass. There was snow on the road, there was ice on the road, and we were just climbing up. And we were alone. It was dark and we were alone and nobody else was around. And I'd never experienced this type of weather before, like a blizzard, like such hardcore snow before. And so in my mind, I was already freaking out. I was already worried for my life just because of this one storm, okay? And I just kept telling myself, Carl, just keep going. You'll get through this. It'll be okay. Just keep going. You're freezing, but you'll make this. Your bike's sliding over the road, but you'll be okay. Just go slow. And it's so tiring because when there's so much snow and ice on the road, you really have to pay attention, okay? And that's when our first accident happened. Once we got nearer to the summit of Lutcher Pass, we started going through these massive ice walls and finding thick sheets of white ice lining the road. We were literally riding on white ice. And that's when Gaurav slipped. I was watching in my mirror for some reason, my rear view mirror, and I just saw the bike slip out from underneath him and him hit the ground. And my heart just started racing, you know. I'm like, oh my God, my brother-in-law just fell off his bike. I gotta stop somehow and get back to him. But you see, I'm on white ice riding right now too. If I jam the brakes too hard, I'm gonna fall. The bike's gonna fall out from front of me. It's literally gonna slide out from front of me. So I'm slowly trying to stop the bike, and then you have to remember how to put your feet down correctly, because you're putting your feet down onto ice, and we didn't have grippy shoes. We were just wearing normal motorcycle boots. So it's very hard to just stay upright. And your bike will literally slide when you try and put it on the ice. So it's very hard to stop. So I'm trying to stop. I'm trying to stop so I can get back to Gaurav. And then he somehow manages to get up and pick up his bike, and we keep going. I didn't have to stop. I was still struggling to stop and put my bike stationary.
Huh? What?
It's ice road, but
Yeah. Let's go.
So that was the first kind of heart racing moment. But like I said, I was already worried at this point from the extreme weather we were facing. I did not expect a blizzard, a snowstorm, such huge ice walls. I was naive, like I should have done my research better, you know? So he was okay, we kept going. This is heaven, but to me it felt like hell, having to deal with all these elements. And I just felt like it was far too risky and I was far too underprepared and inexperienced for what we were doing, and doing it alone. There was literally nobody else around. And the thing is, when it comes to truck drivers, they don't want to stop. It's very hard for them to even stop on this ice. And then if they stop, they might have to reverse to reposition their truck to get going again. Reverse ain't gonna happen on ice. If you get in the way of a truck when you're falling off your bike, good luck. Hopefully they can stop. They might slam the brakes and slide onto you and you'll get stuck under the truck. Who knows what will happen? There are just so many variables and it's so risky and there's no one around to help you, okay? Once we reached the summit, we stopped, took some photos of our bikes and just enjoyed the view. It looks and feels like heaven, but yeah, we felt like we were going for absolute hell, okay? But it's stunning. If you can get there during the snow, there's nothing like it. If you go a bit later, you won't have much snow there and it'll just be like rocky. It would look just a bit like Ladakh. Then the next accident happened on Lutcher Pass. We had scaled the pass and we were coming down it now. And that's when I saw Gaurav fall again. His bike slipped from under him on black ice while we were going down a slope. He was about 50 meters in front of me. And this time the bike was on top of him. He needed some help to get out from under the bike. It would have hurt falling like that. And the bike slid a bit as it hit the ground and as he hit the ground, because we were going down quite a steep slope. And so I'm like, okay, I'll get past him. I'll stop a little bit further down the slope where there was a flat part. But as I passed him, that same black ice was there on my side of the road and I slipped. I went over the handlebars, I hit the ice wall, my bike hit the ice wall, and I landed on my head. My GoPro smashed all over the ground. I landed on my shoulder after I landed on my head, and I just remember feeling something rip, something tear in my shoulder. And the bike, I was in front of the bike laying on the ground and I could hear the petrol gushing out of the bike. The petrol pump had broken and petrol was just flowing out of it, and I was just like, oh my God, this is it. Like, how is Gaurav and I gonna get out of this? Are our bikes gonna work? Am I badly injured? Can I even make it any further? Is Gaurav okay? Will our bikes keep going? How can we get help? Because at that point I thought, maybe we won't survive. And there's no one around, there's no cell phone network, there's no nothing, it's just me and Gaurav. Maybe a truck will come in sometime, who knows? We'd only passed 1 or 2 trucks in the 2 or 3 hours we were scaling Lutcher Pass. So help was so far away, and I got up, I went and helped Gaurav, and then we fixed up the bikes, plugged in the fuel lines so my fuel wasn't leaking anymore, and my shoulder was screwed. I could feel something wasn't right there. But we still had 8 or 9 hours ahead of us. We had to keep going. At that moment I was so scared, I was so angry at myself, I was so disappointed in myself for falling off my own bike and for putting myself in this situation. I was like, I thought we could die up there, honestly. And from then on, I just had to keep telling myself, Carl, you got to get through this. You got to keep going. You can't stop. You've got 2 more mountain passes to cross. There was so much fear in my mind, so much worry in my mind. Can we make these 2 more mountain passes? What if these mountain passes are as bad as this one? What if there's a blizzard and so much ice on the roads again? You know, our bikes are struggling to get up these passes. Our breathing is very difficult. And yeah, you can say I was a little bit panicked.
Oi, oi, oi! Okay. Oh, ça va ça. Put it on the stand, no? Stand.
No, chalo.
Kyun? Why did you stop then?
I was gonna take a photo, but now I just wanna go.
Take a photo. We can take a 5-minute break.
Chalo.
Chalo, okay.
So we took a short break. I'm injured, but our bikes are working still. Even though, you know, we've fallen on them a couple of times already. And then we have to take on the next mountain pass. And this mountain pass was not forgiving. My worst nightmares were true. The second mountain pass, which was even higher than the first mountain pass, there was a huge storm. We were crossing Lutcher Pass. We were crossing the summit and we couldn't see a thing. We couldn't see cars speeding around the corner. I don't know why these guys are speeding, but in India, people cut the corners all the time, okay? And so we couldn't see the cars cutting the corners coming straight towards us. It was so dangerous. And there was snow again, there was hail. We were riding on the side of cliffs and the road was covered in snow with more ice walls. And I just thought our luck had run out. I just thought like, man, how can we have such bad luck today? How can the weather be so bad? Why didn't we check the weather report properly? Why did we take this risk? But we had to keep going. And yeah, I hate thinking about this story because it was such a difficult time. It was the hardest day of my life, definitely, and I'm sure the hardest day of Gaurav's life as well. And then Gaurav, his bike slid and he literally rode into an ice wall. His bike was stuck in an ice wall. And so I had to get off and someone else came and saw it and someone else helped us pull his bike out. And again, I was just so worried again. I was just like, oh man, I'm worried for Gaurav as well, you know, like it was both of our ideas to come here, but what if something happens to him, you know, like how could I live with myself? This was my idea as well, you know, like I was so worried about the both of us, honestly. Then we made it to the third pass and I was so relieved because the weather was not bad there. The weather was good. We could enjoy the pass, but I was in so much pain and I still had so much fear inside me that I just wanted to keep pushing on and get to Leh as soon as possible. When we got to Leh, we stopped for a tea. We stopped outside of Leh actually and got a tea, and this sense of achievement came over me, but also this sense of like failure and like disappointment came over me too. I felt like I'd beaten the odds, I'd beaten the weather, but then I felt like I'd been stupid because I shouldn't have put myself in that situation, such a dangerous situation, without proper equipment, without proper shoes to dig into the ice, without proper tires to dig into the ice, without proper gloves to keep my hands from freezing. I felt really disappointed in myself as well as happy with myself. It was bittersweet, you know, like I know what I can achieve now, but I should have achieved it with less injury and less risk, right? If I had been a bit smarter in my planning. We could have easily died up there, you know, if something had gone wrong with our motorcycles and they wouldn't start and if we couldn't have found any help. In that freezing cold weather, anything could have happened. We could have slipped to our doom or gone off the road to our doom. Anything could have happened. Then the next day when I woke up, I was in so much pain. I was bruised all over and I went to the hospital. It cost me 5 rupees only. And I found out that my muscle in my shoulder had torn in the accident. I could barely move the shoulder, it was so painful. I was kind of just riding like one-handed, you know, just to rest this shoulder for the rest of the trip. We had to go back, okay, as well. We took a different route back and that's a whole nother story, another death-defying story, because we took Zojila Pass, which in my opinion is the most dangerous road in the world. Jeez. Another horrifying experience, but one that went a little bit better. And then we made it to Srinagar and the ride back to Delhi from there is really, really easy. Except, oh my god, this was the worst ride ever. Because then I took the wrong route to Jammu. I took the old Mughal road. So Gaurav got there in like, I don't know, 7 hours. Then I arrived at the hotel like 12 hours later, something like that. There's a reason why we were split up, okay, and that's part of another story altogether. So, what a trip that was. So guys, learn from my experience. Maybe don't go to Leh by road at the beginning of June once they've opened the roads, okay? Wait a bit longer until a bit of the ice is melted, okay? And leave a bit later, all right? You don't want to go in the morning. Wait until the sun has melted a bit of that ice. At least that's what I think. I want you guys to share your Ladakh experiences in the comments. I know a lot of people have gone through heaven and hell on their way to Ladakh. It's always a difficult place to travel to by road. And give me your travel tips, guys. Like, what could I have done better besides not going at the time that I went, right? And as always, guys, Jai Hind.